Breaking tonight, a Duck Dynasty star put on indefinite hiatus from the hit show following some controversial comments in a magazine interview. Trace Gallagher live in our West Coast newsroom tonight with the breaking news update. Trace?
And the big question now, Megan, is how do you suspend the Duck commander, Phil Robertson, and not lose A&E's biggest show altogether? The network released a statement, A&E saying in part, and I'm quoting here, his personal views in no way reflect those of A&E Networks, who have always been strong supporters and champions of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community. Robertson, like many devout Christians, believes that homosexuality is a sin. He told GQ magazine that homosexuals, like adulterers, thieves, drunkards, would not inherit the kingdom of God. He also says, in essence, that it's not logical for a man to prefer a man's body over a woman's. He did not, as some have reported, equate homosexuality with bestiality. He did say this, quoting, "Everything is blurred on what's right and what's wrong. Sin becomes fine. Start with homosexual behavior and just morph out from there. Bestiality, sleeping around with this woman and that woman and that woman and those men." Gay and lesbian advocates and defenders, or GLAAD, says that flies in the face of what true Christians believe. They say, quoting in part, "Phil's decision to push vile and extreme stereotypes is a stain on A&E and his sponsors, who now need to re-examine their ties to someone with such public disdain for LGBT people and their families." Phil Robertson released a statement through A&E that says, again quoting here, "I would never treat anyone with disrespect just because they are different from me. We are all created by the Almighty, and like him, I love all of humanity." Keep in mind, this Duck Dynasty family has plenty of money, and they are a very tight-knit group. The question now becomes, will they just pack up and leave A&E altogether? And you can expect to get some pushback from the Christian community on this as well.
Wow.
Megan.
All right, Trace, thank you. Joining me now with more, Bernard Whitman, a Democratic pollster, Monica Crowley, served as foreign policy assistant to President Nixon, and Arthur Aidala, who's a criminal defense attorney. Bernard, your thoughts on it?
You know, I thought it was disgusting, reprehensible, hateful. The fact that someone would equate the love I might have for another man with bestiality or a drunkard or adultery or something like this is certainly flies in the face of what it means to be Christian. To me, what it means to be Christian is to treat others like you would want to be treated. And the fact that he came out with such vile speech is really reprehensible, and I applaud A&E for taking him off the show.
You say he needs to be gone.
But it's the United States of America, and this is what I fight for every day in the courtroom. When somebody actually may have committed a crime, and they're factually guilty, but under the laws of our nation, they are entitled to certain protections and to be prosecuted in a certain way. Well, you know what? There's something called the First Amendment, and A&E is entitled to make that statement. These are his statements. This is not A&E. I'm sorry.
He's not entitled to be on TV.
No, he is.
Hate.
No.
Is disgusting.
No, you're actually incorrect. He
is not entitled to be on TV spewing hate.
Listen, there is case law on this, very solid case law on this. He's allowed to give his opinion.
Of public opinion.
Okay.
But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because now he's gone, right? Indefinite hiatus. I don't know what that means. Is he ever coming back? Remains to be seen. But that will certainly shut down the debate. There really won't. You know, I mean, he is a Christian man. I grant you, he did not say this in the kindest way, but why can't there be a debate about it? Why can't there be a back and forth, a discussion? You know, that's how he feels, and then you say how you feel, instead of you are fired. I mean, you're basically canned, and no one else will feel comfortable saying similar things.
This is a classic example of the word police, political correctness, whatever you want to term it. I'm not a fan of the word police. I believe in the United States of America, you should be able to say what you want. It may be reprehensible, it may be offensive, but you should be able to say what you want, short of inciting violence.
But Bernard's saying you can, but you should also live with the consequences.
Let me just finish. A&E, though, has certain standards and practices, right? So as an employee of A&E then has a right to say this, what he said or his behavior.
But this show is not politically correct.
Go ahead, Bernard. I think A&E and I think advertisers have every right to support the life of the community, and the fact that this guy would come out and vilify an entire group of people for who they are and who they love and nothing more is disgraceful and shameful.
Let me ask you my question, Bernard. Let me ask you a question I was asking
want to be associated with that type of hate.
But what about the notion of letting him say, this Christian guy, this is how he feels, right? Disagree or agree. this is how he feels. Why can't there be, then you come out and say, let me tell you why that is so offensive to me.
Because it's time that we stop agreeing that religion can be used as a weapon to spew hate and cause people to feel bad about themselves and who they are and who they love.
Shutting it down.
He can go out and if he wants to go and have hate speech, if he wants to go out and have hate speech all over America and hate speech conventions, by God, let him do it, but it shouldn't have to be in the public square where people have to tune in and see that
What about his statement, Megyn, that he said, when, obviously it's after the fact, where he says, look, this is how I feel. These are my religious beliefs. I wouldn't disrespect everyone. We were born from the Almighty. Look, personally, I don't agree with what he said, but he's allowed to say it. This is what our country is founded on.
We've seen this clash over and over and over.
Our country is not founded on hate.
No, it's founded on free speech. No, there's a lot of hate out there.
But fundamentalist Christians do not believe in homosexuality, right? They don't believe in it, and they've been so critical of it. And then the gay and lesbian community has said that's intolerance, and then they say we are being intolerant of our religious beliefs, and we've seen this clash over and over and over. Yet to be resolved.
You can have your private beliefs, but they don't have to be aired on the public networks.
Okay, I got to leave it at that. And we've had a very public airing here. But we have more to discuss right after the break, including Christians under attack in the Middle East. Prince Charles, have you heard what he said about it? The panel's back with that. Also Hannity at the top of the hour.
It's a lousy deal. Everyone in this country outside of Washington